light, and then mute.
Five, four, three, two, one. Full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed.
Yes, indeed, Full Course Yellow is deployed. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Full Course Yellow in Pit Lane's weekly get-together, a Thursday, Wednesday night water cooler chat about the world of motorsport. Remember, In Pit Lane returns to Melbourne's Channel 31 next week at the new later time of 9:30. Right across Melbourne and Geelong, free to air. So if you're in Melbourne, remember that Channel 31 is found on Channel 44. And I've gone through this argument a million times. They should have changed the name. They didn't change the name. So it's Channel 31 on Channel 44. But just do a scan on your television and you'll find the bloody thing. It's out there somewhere. If not, you can watch the extended program on YouTube, and also you can watch us. You can watch us behind the scenes. You can watch the behind the scenes recording. We did a rehearsal last night. You might have seen that on our Facebook page. Had a few new people, perhaps not enough. We're a bit short of crew this year. Last year we had way too many people, and this year we've got nowhere near enough. So that's always a bit of a problem. So especially in the next couple of weeks when we've got a couple of very big bands coming in, that's going to be fun having sort of 6-piece bands and nobody to shoot the bloody things. Anyway, let's find out. We've got a cast of thousands again tonight, incidentally. So let's check out who's on the roll call for this week. We've got Peter Johnson, we've got Doc Gladigo, we've got Richard Outram, and we've also got Mark Jones with us as well. Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Hey, Brad, how goes everybody?
Yeah, we're all pretty good. I mean, it's very, very early. We've gone back to the 8:30 because both Doc and Pete sort of start early, and they 9 o'clock. They turn into pumpkins after 10 o'clock. So we're.
It's not a real good look when we keep headbutting the bloody screen because we're falling asleep. So
falling asleep. So yeah. Normally that's not that's the role of the viewers. That's what their job.
That's their job to fall asleep.
Yes, we shall be doing our best.
Well, on the upside, we have to make an appearance with the viewers or the listeners, or whichever, or the combined two. they can jump on the Facebook page and look at this anytime in the next few days if they want.
They certainly can, or of course on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Remember, if you haven't gone to the YouTube channel, please like and subscribe because it's really important. As far as the dreaded algorithm, the way that YouTube works is they're all about. It's all about not just how many people watch, but it's how long people watch. But it's also about the interaction. And if you click on the like bell, and if you click on, if you subscribe and click on the like, give us a like, and make a comment on YouTube or something, then YouTube goes, oh, people are watching this, they actually like this. They're also watching, Love Cars on the Grill, they're listening to Midweek Motorsport or something like that, and then YouTube will recommend to them, hey, if you like this show, you might like Full Course Yellow or anything else on in Pit Lane. So so it's very important.
It's just that old age analogy. It's not it's not what you watch, it's how long you watch it for.
Exactly. And speaking of people watching for a long time, we've got some of our regulars back, a couple of our regulars. Box. G'day, Box. How are you? Good to catch up with you. And also Mad Cow Mark is joining us once again as well. So there, if you're joining us, send us a message. Let us know that you're watching, and we'll say hi. If you've got any questions, you've got any topics we want to raise, because it's all getting very busy all of a sudden. We've got the Grand Prix season starts off again this weekend. We got the World Endurance Championship. Last week, of course, we had the Bathurst 500 at the opening round of the Supercars, which we'll talk about that a little bit very soon as well. Though we've also got we also had the prologue for the WEC World Superbikes down at Phillip Island. Caught a couple of those races down there. They were once again great races, and the track looked amazing once again. It's a fabulous track down there, of course. And so plenty to talk about. So let's start. I suppose we'll start with we'll start at Bathurst, the opening round of the Supercars and the defence of the championship. Oh no, hang on, no, he wasn't there. So
neither was the previous two.
Well, yeah. So everything old is new again, but it was a win for Erebus as Will. Oh no, he's not with Erebus anymore, is he?
No.
Yeah. Okay. But Will Brown won a race, and Brock Feeney won a race as well. So a good start for Triple Eight Racing. Chaz Mostert was.
Haven't you had your Alzheimer's pill tonight or something?
Yeah, but
pill for that?
Yeah,
I gotta look that up.
I know. No, I've got them. I forget to take the bloody things.
I got a few bottles of them in the fridge. You can.
Yeah, alongside the Viagra. I mean, I get them mixed up. I take the Viagra, but I can't remember why.
Keep talking like this. Rich and I will start talking about bloody nuts again, won't we, Richard? Wheel nuts, of course. We usually talk about. Yeah. It's already.
But anyway, so what did we think? What did we think of the weekend in terms of the racing? The parity has been solved. Everybody, the whole field was incredibly close. It looked to be a good mix of cars, but I don't know about you. I thought the racing was
I'm going to take a
dull.
Chaz Mostert card out, and I'm going to talk because he probably was quoted out of context. But if you watched a little bit of the social media, but watched the actual racing, you'd have seen what it is. So you had to be able to concentrate on your social media, concentrate on what Larko does, because he mainly does the facts on the Hino Hub, and also take them the parity issue. So look, Ford's come out after the weekend and said, there's still parity with the engine stuff problems, but I think we're pretty close. The other one was that someone quoted, I don't know whether they took him out of context, Chaz said, you only have to look at the speed trap bloody kilometres per hour down the straight to see where we're still not as competitive as we could be. However, when Larko did some Hino hub stuff and went over, say, the setups of the Camaros versus the Fords and the whole lot, what he picked out was Chaz had the camber on the wheels, especially the front ones, were a little bit more tilted out to the others. Also, there was a slight wing difference. So what he was doing is he was gaining speed across the top of the mountain where they thought that Walkinshaw and Andretti United would actually have an advantage on trying to take cars over the top of the mountain. and use. Hopefully, they wouldn't get slipstreamed because they don't have DRS in supercars, of course. Slipstream too much down Conrad or the straights, and obviously track position would keep them in that spot. They were doing that, so it was a bit of tongue in cheek by Chaz. Oh, we haven't got the car speed. They haven't got. They deliberately turned down their car speed by sometimes 3, 4, 5k an hour just to get that the setup right where they could be more competitive when they weren't in a straight line. So yeah, 4 points to Chaz for drumming up the tractors and the natives again. Oh, complaining, but it was a deliberate ploy to try and get an advantage in the car in a different way.
Yeah, I mean it's different car setup, and that's what you want. I mean, in terms of you want cars to have different vehicles. You want different vehicle dynamics. You want the setup that Walkinshaw obviously went for with the Mustang. They wanted to maximise the speed over the top of the hill, whereas the Camaros were obviously faster, perhaps going up the hill and going down the hill. So it depends on what you're looking for. It looks like that the Fords could possibly use a little bit of extra power, but I mean we won't know for a while. I mean it was the first event. The problem was, I mean, everybody was so close. There was very little passing went on anywhere. It was I just thought it was a procession that was like I was watching like watching Moomba on speed. It was just round and round they went, and the only sort of real changes we saw happened in pit lane. So
well, the Super 2 tried to pass, and look what happened to them. They ended up in a 10-car pile-up.
Yeah, but they always do.
Super 2s are the only interesting thing all weekend.
Yeah, well, that's often the case,
but...
though. I mean, the Super 2s and the Aussie race cars and the touring car masters, and a whole bunch of other, even the damn silly. Much as I hate the look of the Utes, they put on some good racing at times, and they often good grid. So they often save the weekend. I mean, the touring car masters at Bathurst look good, but the problem is, I mean, with touring car masters is, it's my demographic. I mean, it's for a lot of our demographic for a lot of us.
All of us are old here. You take your pill again. We're all old.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, like for a lot of for a lot of younger people, they'll turn up there and go, "What the hell are these things?" It's like, "Oh, look at that Mustang." It's like, "What? Gee, it doesn't look like any Mustang I know." It's like. But anyway, I thought they looked and sounded good, and that was good to see them back on the mountain again.
I'm not sure.
Go on.
I'm not sure about the supercars going to Bathurst twice. It kind of lacks something for me. I don't know what it was. Whether it needs to be because I know the 12-hour. If you're going to have a Superfest, maybe I know the 12-hour. Some of the 12-hour drivers have expressed the desire to race in supercars at Bathurst. So maybe we could have a longer distance race, say a 500, just one 500-kilometre race, where you stick some of the 12-hour drivers in the supercars.
The problem is having them being able to stay, because I mean, a whole heap of them are obviously in Qatar this weekend, running in the WEC.
Yeah.
So, and that was the problem. I mean, I haven't had time to put it together yet, but in the full interview with Jules Gunon, he talks about the fact that he was offered a supercar drive in the 1000, and he really, really wanted to take it. He said, he said, my day job sort of thing. He said, there's just not a spot. He mentioned the actual race that conflicted. He said, but he said there was nothing. And looking at if you look at the calendar again for this year, it conflicts with, I think, an IMSA round and also I think a GT World Challenge round in Europe as well. So once again, a lot of those drivers that would come out and do Bathurst, some of those top GT drivers, obviously just can't do it. So I don't think we will see it. It was even supercars sort of have quietly admitted that they were a little disappointed with the crowd, and some people, they didn't release it. I haven't seen any official figures, but it was certainly nowhere near the crowd that we saw at the 12-hour, which in one way I think is really good, because I think it shows that the 12-hour, is finally, has
Well,
finally
it has
broken
its own
through.
audience.
Yeah,
So
it's finally
12-hour
broken through.
Because 12-hour, obviously I went both the last 2 years. 12-hour last year was 55,000. This year was 47. So it lost a little bit. I blame, there's a whole lot of issues there. It's not because of the back-to-back with supercars. There's the cost of living. There's a whole lot of little different reasons, but it did drop $8,000, or just under $8,000 on the year before on people. But there was a lot of unhappiness amongst the 12-hour crowd, and it wasn't a minority. It was a majority of people. They weren't happy with, and went to officials as well, though, too, off the record. I won't name names, but there were a few officials saying, yeah, we love supporting both events, or love supporting both parts of the motorsport landscape, fraternities, but getting us on board for 2 weekends with a week in between is a little bit of push comes to shove. A lot of them had to choose between one or the other if you're an official or a volunteer. So they were a little disappointed that they got, and there was lots of incentives. Oh, please stay. Oh, can you go? Blah, blah, blah. They were trying, and just stretches people a little bit too much. So, as a supporters, you just got that feel around the track in every way, different shape or form, that they hope they don't try and back them again next year. I hope it's not as a option.
Well, even some of the people involved, as you say, with the officials. I caught the train out there from Sydney, and the last leg was a bus from Lithgow, and one of the officials was on the bus with me, one of the Sydney officials, and we were talking, and she actually said, "Thank God for your guys," i.e. the people from Melbourne who had come up for the 12-hour, because she said we were really struggling, because she said as soon as they announced the supercar event was officially happening, she said a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of Sydney, New South Wales officials basically went, "Oh, hang on, no, we're going to do we can't do both though, so we're going to do the supercars." I don't know why he'd picked that, but anyway, they're going to do the supercars, and suddenly they were left with quite a shortage of officials for the 12-hour, because and they were saying that, and you were right, there were sort of special deals in terms of extra camping accommodation and being able to trying to keep people there for the week, but you can't. It's the same with the Grand Prix. They're now asking the officials to basically be there for 6 or 7 days, and as we know ourselves, I mean, you've got other, we've got jobs, or some people have got jobs that actually pay money, and you've got to, as I say to everyone on the crew, paid gigs always have to come first, whether we want that or not. You've got to put food on the table, and if you've got the opportunity to do something and get money for it, then you've got to put your priority there. So
I've already paid it for that. Brett and I do some subcontracting work for some hospitality group, and last year I was absolutely smashed by the end of the Sunday working wise. I didn't see as much of the GP as you wanted to. I should have actually just got Pete to put a bloody helmet on and put a camera on top of his helmet there in the grandstand for me, and I could just have Wi-Fi into bloody Pete every now and again, and just see where his view and where he's watching the race. I might actually do that this year with you, Pete. Get you to do a Pete in pit lane cam for us, just for us exclusively on the crew. But I'd work the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's a massive event in hospitality trying to do that. And we were all buggered by the end of Sunday. And then the subcontractors that work for Formula One and the Grand Prix Corporation said to myself and a couple others, "Oh, we really want to bump all this stuff out in the next 24 hours. Can you work again tomorrow on a Monday?" I know you weren't usually. So this year I've actually taken the Monday off work just in case they do that to us again, and run yourself into the ground, or you get a recovery day now. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't realise.
I just felt that when we started in Adelaide and when we started in Newcastle, they were better events, and I don't know why. I just feel that they were better events than
Well, I think Newcastle, I mean, everybody loved Newcastle except a handful of people who live in Newcastle and a handful of influential people who lived in Newcastle because, and in fact, I was talking with that marshal I was talking to actually was from Newcastle. And I said, what the hell went on? And she said, in her words, I mean, she said it was a pack of yuppies in the nicer part of town. She said who had a lot of political pull and a lot of influence and made a lot of noise, who basically sunk it. She said, she said it was for the vast majority of people in Newcastle, they probably wanted to keep it. But the problem was also like as has happened with the Grand Prix and has happened to an extent with Adelaide and the Gold Coast and all the rest, it hasn't been, it's not the huge increase to some of the local businesses. A lot of the local businesses, apparently, a lot of the local cafes and all the rest of it that sort of went, oh, wow, we're going to have all these people, come on in and, pay $25 for an avocado on toast or something like that. Found out that was, it's not that sort of market. They didn't get that. And a couple of businesses last year, or the last time they ran the event, basically just shut their doors for them because they went, well, we tried for a couple of races, nobody could get in. There's no parking. A lot of our regulars wouldn't come in because of the noise and because of the smoke and the dust and all the rest of the bullshit. So they just closed the doors for the 4 days and pulled the plug. So they weren't happy about it. They didn't get what they were getting out of it. But as she said, as far as the average Newcastle resident, was concerned. She said, all my mates love it, but she said, but we live, out in the suburbs. The people who actually lived by the track were not keen on it at all. So, unfortunately, I think it's a shame because I mean, as I said to her, I'd never considered Newcastle. As it's like, oh, Newcastle. That was, I remember the Newcastle song, with Normie with his FJ Holden and his foxtail twin overhead foxtails. But I'd never considered Newcastle was such a lovely looking spot. I mean, it looked really good on the television. You'd have a look at it, and if you want to have a look at what that sort of event can do for a place, have a look, go back on the weekend, and if you've got KO or Foxtel, even if you're not interested in wrestling, go back and have a look at Elimination Chamber in Perth and have a look how they sold Western Australia from Elimination Chamber and just have a look at the response online from people all around the world going, oh my God, this place is paradise. How the hell do we get there? It looked amazing. They sold it really well. It was a huge success for the city of Perth and for Western Australia. And Newcastle could have been the same thing. It could have made it a major tourism destination because they've got the beaches. It's a nice looking town from what I saw. I don't know. Have any of you guys been to Newcastle?
I spent some time in Newcastle, deployed there for several months via work, and I was, and some of my accommodation was right alongside of where the track would be many years later. And yeah, it is a really nice spot there. As you say, the beaches are right there. They've got the track layout allows for a bit of up and down. And there's that scenic part that runs along the front of those fast downhill left and rights. But there's a bit of Long Beach about the venue, like particularly
Florida.
like the old Long Beach with the climb up the hill.
Yeah,
Long Beach, Florida.
No, Long Beach, California.
I'm just
But
no, not Miami. The Miami sports car race. But yeah, the
Miami Mice.
Miami Mice. Yeah. It did seem like I didn't get to go there for the races, but yeah, it seemed like a great spot for it. And and while they had some problems.
Yeah, well, I think
I'm distracted by
Knackers' comment. Yeah, it's big. big comment. So we both
Well, I
would,
mean,
mate.
he would know, as he said. He said the Victorian was around 25 to 30% of the trackside marshals. I would say, judging by the response that both Doc and I got wandering around Mount Panorama, I mean, and the number of officials who were, flaggies and pit lane marshals and people out the back of the paddock and all the rest of it. The number of people who yelled out at us and said, "G'day, Red, how are you? Well, good to see you up here," and all the rest of it. Or when's the show coming back and all. It was, I'd say it was at least 30% for the 12-hour. They were everywhere.
I can not just yell out. I actually had dinner with at least half a dozen of them on the Friday night, and I was also sitting and having a beer with a good friend of Brett and myself, and one of the driver of the medical car, the BMW, was explaining to me how fast that thing was and how fast he got it up to. It may have been just a little bit quicker than he anticipated and had to use a bit more of the brake horsepower that he's pedal on his foot pedal because he had this new medical BMW to play with, and then might have got out of his depth just a little bit for a split second, but reined it back in. So I actually intimately talked to a lot of the flaggies, and I think so. The information I've talked about this evening so far is actually first hand. I just won't throw anyone under the bus, except for the medical car driver who was having a lot of fun. He didn't give an opinion on the stuff we were talking about. Excuse me, Mark, you're a bad influence. I went and got a drink. I saw you sipping on your Coke and your cola and ice, and I went, I'm thirsty. So it's still 30-odd degrees, 33 degrees down here at the moment on the Melbourne evening. So
yeah, that cool change didn't amount to much, did it? I mean, I saw all sorts of storms and all sorts of things. I just had a look at the radar.
Not due until 11.
Not due. Okay, so it's still on the way, but it's still according to mine, it's still 31 according to my the sensor.
Peter Jane Bunn. Thanks, Jane.
There, and also it's going to get hot again. Thankfully for the weekend, we're going to be at Rob Roy for the Rob Roy Revival Hill Climb on the weekend, and it's going to be pretty reasonable, and possibly even a few showers on Saturday, sort of low to mid 20s. But next week it's going to go back into the mid to high 30s again. So we're getting. Once again, our summer has finally arrived, but it's arrived way too late for most people to enjoy it.
But I'm happy that it's going to be cool on the weekend.
So you're down at Phillip Island, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure what to happen because it's it's a round of the state
Hyundai Excel Series. Yeah, the club championship. Not.
Oh,
I'm not sure who's actually running it.
So you're the headline actor, are you, Richard?
Yeah.
Who's your support categories?
It's like the access meeting. It's an access meeting.
I'm at the front. It all depends if you take it from the people who are behind me or the people who are in front of me.
I've always said you guys should do a reverse grid. It'd be hilarious.
I'd get straight to the front.
The thing is, you've got a nice new surface to play with because the place has been totally resurfaced, and we might get onto
rub it up by the bikes.
Rub it up to an extent by the bikes, but it was a very fast and but also very abrasive circuit as well, and to the point where they had to they basically had to split the race in. They had a compulsory pit stop at one stage in order to make sure that the tyres were going to last to the end, because they were very worried that there might be some problems of delaminating tyres because of the aggressive nature of the brand new surface. So that'll be good. And then of course the weekend afterwards we've got as Mark Goldsmith was saying earlier, is we've got the Phillip Island Historic, and coming up on In Pit Lane. Yes. Yeah, coming up on In Pit Lane next for our first episode next Thursday night on Channel 31. Andrew McCarthy's joining us from Group R Racing. He's driving a Mora at the event. This is a Formula 2 car, a fabulous looking car from a golden era of Formula 2 racing that we just didn't see in Australia. And I think there's in fact 2 more is coming out there. There's Formula 3000 cars. Yeah, Formula 3000 cars, some Formula Atlantic cars in that. But also we're going to have about 20 Formula 5000s as well, because for the first time in several years, the New Zealand contingent are coming over. They're also bringing with them, apart from the Formula 5000s, they're bringing with them a few extra McLaren Can-Am cars as well to celebrate the history of McLaren. So we're going to see some fabulous cars. There's a P4 Ferrari, which Spencer Martin himself is going to drive. It's going to be a huge, huge meeting. In terms of how it's been promoted, I don't think they've promoted it. We've certainly had nothing from them. But
very crude, considering our talent. But what you're talking about there, Brett, is got some pictures there on the VHR site there. As you said, the McLaren's come across from New Zealand, and Richo's also going to be a patron again as well, though, too, with probably Gentleman Jim as well, though, too. So
yeah, he's running the Nissan. He's running the Nissan once again. I haven't seen a list of the end, but apparently it's sounding like good entries right across the board, and we'll be down there hopefully for at least one day. Unfortunately, the budget this year isn't going to run to sort of doing the. Normally, we do a special like a full half-hour show from the
20,
there. Which
sorry, Brett, over 20 F5000s are going to have their field.
Yes,
wow.
So
they'll be running their.
Sorry, Mark.
Will they be running their own grid?
Yeah, I think on the Saturday actually, and if somebody may tell, I think on the Saturday some of the 5000s are going to run in Group R, Group P, and etc., which I prefer. I mean, this has been a problem. I mean, a lot of the Formula 5000 guys, say, well, we're not running if we've got to run with anything else for safety. And the thing is, I mean, a lot of the cars that are running in Group R and all the rest of it are actually as fast, and in some cases faster than the Formula. Certainly, this more you would imagine if when Andrew's a good steerer, you'd imagine that's going to be very, very, very quick around the island. It's got full ground effects and all the rest of it. It's going to be very fast.
Certain turbocharged Ferrari.
I haven't seen the entry yet, but yeah, we've certainly had Buongiorno Nettis in his Ferrari. We've done a story on that car. We've also done a story on the Mugen Honda Formula 3000, which is another very quick car. So there's quite a few very fast cars in that
Just
field.
Before you go any further, we probably won't touch on this subject, but I did see pictures of the 2 Ferraris that dropped in Australia today. There you go.
Yeah, that's for the that's for the GT for the GT series. They're based in Perth. We'll find out that I'm going to try and
driving one of those.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and get
Jackson Evans, I believe.
I think you're on the money there, Mark. Yes.
And Liam tells so that'll be a very strong entry. I mean,
Liam mentioned it in the press conference when we were at the B12 hour. Actually, that came up about the Ferraris.
Yeah, so and that's the other good thing. Now that these cars are in Australia, chances are we'll see them at Bathurst next year, and that's something that Bathurst has missed for a few years now. Is we haven't had any Ferraris, and also you'd almost be assured that we're going to see at least one, if not 2 Mustangs there next year, and hopefully we'll perhaps see a Corvette as well. And some Aston. It'd be nice to see some Aston Martins, but I think that's going to be once again. It will come down to what the calendar looks like, because I think that the problem that we've got is the GT3 calendar is so packed this year, but certainly with all of the talk about it's the most expensive. It's the hardest round to get to, in terms of the cost and all the rest of it, and the time taken to get the cars here and to get the cars back again. But for if you talk to the people who did that, teams, they certainly the drivers definitely want to do it. There's so many drivers. I mean, with Paul Tracy, who basically came out of semi-retirement and said, I got a phone call and said, do you want to drive at Mount Panorama? It was like, hell yeah, of course I do.
Give me a steer.
So yeah, so
it's not talking about the
Thank
cow
you.
version either.
Thank you, Mr. Tracy.
yeah.
We
So
didn't actually get catch up. It was so busy. There was so many people you could talk to. We probably didn't get across as many as we wanted to, but it's always a fantastic weekend. Very, very good. Did you just getting obviously with Bahrain before we get to the WEC stuff with Mark in a minute? Did anyone see the salaries that came out this week? And it was inaccurate. That doesn't include sponsorship for some of the Formula One drivers. Did anyone see those? Did you see the disparity between some of them?
well, we've always known
Between
we've
teammates.
we've always known that. I mean, there's
The
there's a
actual
handful of
salary.
people who are
This is
getting-
accurate. This is not a hypothetical or anything like that. The actual salaries on what some the F1 drivers are on. Did you see? Say, for example, I thought Yuki was on more than that. Did you? All right. Let's play a game. And for you people that are watching at home as well, though, too. Anyone? I'll just pick out. Obviously, Yuki, I've just mentioned. Everyone without cheating, because I did cheat, and I know, but I was stunned at what he is. Everyone have a guess what Yuki gets. Have a guess what the new contract for Daniel is, and have a guess what Max is. There's three of yous. All one by one. Mark, you first. You're below me.
Well, let's see. Yuki Tsunoda, maybe.
They're all in the millions, so you can start. I'll just give you the.
Yeah, I was just thinking that maybe just the 1 or 2 million for Yuki, and Daniel maybe as much as 7, and Max I think is in the billions. I think his salary this year is 1 Taylor Swift.
One Taylor Swift. Okay. All right. So you're pretty on them. Okay. That's Mark's. You're not far around the ballpark there. Silver Circus is in this weekend at Packard, as I was telling Brett last night. So, Richard, diagonally off to my left.
I was thinking Yuki 3 to 5 and Daniel about 5 to 7. And Max would be 80 to 110 million.
Okay, Pete. I'm looking at the figures as I'm talking to you.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you cheating.
Maybe Yuki about 6 and Daniel about 8, and then Max about 14 million, I reckon.
And
Brett, lucky last.
Yeah, I think Max would be around the $28 million mark. Yuki probably I'll say 2, and Daniel at the moment probably I'll say 8.
You're all thereabouts. Maybe just Max is very hard to judge, but obviously he thinks he's worth billions, and there's probably that want to blow wind in his direction that maybe upwards that he think he's worth billions too. But Yuki's only on $1 million a year. Now there's small CEOs that are out there that actually. I
could be a Formula One driver.
He could be. Logan Sargent's also on $1 million. I used obviously because
let's start a GoFundMe page.
Yes, I think he's actually very underrated as far as dollar wise go. There, I think we should put him on the stock exchange and list him and get some rate him definitely. Daniel's on $7 million a year. His current contract is for. These are very accurate. So remember, this doesn't contain any sponsorship or any extra benefits or bonuses. And Max is only on 55, but Max is top of the pops. Lewis is 45. Charles is on 34, which I thought was very high even for a Ferrari driver because they obviously haven't been getting the results the last couple of years, which has been car orientated though. Lando's on 20. George is on 18. Fernando's also on the same as George,
team, I think.
Sergio, which is, in the twilight of his career, is doing very well with 14. Carlos is on 12. Valtteri, the Aussie bogan, the adopted Aussie's on 10. As I said, Daniel's on 7. Esteban is on 6. Pierre's also on 6. And Oscar's done quite well for himself. Obviously, there might have been a Weber part of the contractual agreement that was inserted into that. So Oscar got 6 as well too for this year. And K-Mag's 5. Alex Albon's 3. Stroll's 3. I reckon Stroll's...
Yeah, Alex Albon. I mean, you can see why he'd be, because I think he's probably to a top team, he'd be worth more than 3. I think that he's the bargain. If you're doing your super thing, you're basing things on how much people are getting paid. I think he's performed above and beyond.
Lance Stroll's apparently only on 3, but I think he's getting a paper bag under the table.
That's not payment. That's pocket money.
It goes pop. That paper bag goes pop.
That's his allowance.
Yeah, that's his allowance. I need another $1 million. Okay,
that's his rent.
All he does is
what's that on the floor underneath you, son?
I washed my own clothes this week. Dad, can I have my allowance, please? Yeah, right.
I also see that.
How about Liam Lawson? Was he?
Well, I mean,
unfortunately, it doesn't have any of the reserve drivers.
I think
Liam wasn't a reserve driver last year.
Well, he's getting. I reckon he's be getting monopoly money because it's all be saying at the moment is we're going to give you some, but at the moment we're just going to have to give you this one. So there's a lot of IOUs, I reckon.
You wonder where he's going to where they're going to fit him in, because they're talking about in terms of replacing Sergio. They're talking about Sainz. They're talking about Daniel. They're talking about and they've got Lawson just sitting there, who in the couple of appearances that he's done has done absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, he's performed above and beyond the call of duty, and he's just you would imagine it would be a tragedy if it turns out that he ends up not getting a regular drive in Formula One, and that he sort of drifts off into world endurance. I mean, it'd be a nice thing and all the rest of it, but he really, or IndyCar or something. But he really does deserve. He really does deserve a.
Well, let's see what comes out, because let's just push aside the speculation that's going on with Christian at the moment, and he's obviously not doing much publicity at the moment. But I think in the last couple of days, he has been quoted saying that Daniel's still the favourite to get that spot back for Sergio.
And so is Helmut.
But anyway. The other thing
Pete, Pete, what did Helmut Marko say?
Helmut has said that Daniel Ricciardo will be a Red Bull driver again. Same.
Well, that's if Helmut is still there next year as well, including Christian Horner. I mean, we will know hopefully at the end of the week we'll know whether Christian is hanging around. The interesting thing is that Ford have now jumped into the jumped into the seat as well, and essentially said, I mean, we don't know the full details, but you would imagine Ford have got some inside knowledge, and they're saying we are taking this very, very seriously. There are certain moral standards. There are certain standards we set within the Ford brand, and we want you to be very transparent about this. We want this organised very quickly, because we don't want to be involved.
That's the pertinent point, Brett. Everyone said it, and Ford's saying it. This investigation is taking far too long. I reckon it's absolute BS, because it's taken that long as well, though, too. And it is. It's just taken, for it to be out in the public eye as it is for as long as it is, it's just taken an absolute ridiculous amount of time. They can get things faster moving along as fast out. The Jackie Stewart of Formula One in the last couple of years, because Jenson Button doesn't go for sensational highlights. Ralph is an absolute idiot. I think you said that a little while ago, Brett, and when I brought up one of his comments. You see what he's come up today. He said, not Sebastian said this. This is what Ralph is saying that should happen. Vettel should come out of retirement and take up the spot where Lewis Hamilton is. What? He's just saying stuff to grab headlines. And the other one as well.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, that's part of his job as well. I mean, he's working for German media. He's always going to push up, one, his family, and two, German drivers above all else. I mean, he's become, he has become a sort of a professional about that, in terms of, Young Mick should be in Formula One above pretty much anybody, including Max Verstappen at the moment. If you listen to him, he's the second coming of his father. If you talk about Sebastian Vettel is still, the greatest drivers and much faster. Look at what Fernando Alonso did. Well, Sebastian would be even better. Sebastian couldn't care. I haven't seen anything of Sebastian Vettel just recently, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Sebastian's doing macrame and growing lentils.
He's growing the long beard. He's got the grey hair. He's got the,
He's just driving his tractor around and enjoying it. The other half of the sentence I didn't quite get out before, but I want to quickly mention now is that he also said, and if I was George Russell, I would absolutely go to town on him. Said George Russell, whoever the teammate's going to be, depending on the status, that George hasn't got the worldwide pull or hasn't got the charisma or hasn't got the whole lot to be able to be the number one team member and create the publicity. I have seen nothing but absolute pure praise for George Russell as a driver, his professionalism, he's dealing with the public, everything George does. I don't think he hasn't really put a foot wrong, and he's doing his best and getting out there and getting results when he can, even outshining his teammates, who's on a fair bit mega bucks more than what his teammate is. So to someone to criticize a guy that actually doesn't deserve it, I reckon that was absolutely shameful, I reckon. And if I was George Russell, I would hit him back. I'd actually say, look, mate, take you on any time at the track, behind the bloody damn old transporter. I'll put you under the bloody back 18 wheeler.
Yeah, I'm not sure that getting into a fight with George Russell would fill me with terror.
What do you mean he's fighting?
But anyway,
it's ridiculous.
But anyway, I mean, look, it'll be interesting. We see it all starts. It all starts this weekend. We'll have tomorrow night. We'll know for sure. I mean, testing obviously. We're never sure how that goes. I would expect it to be pretty much more of the same from what we saw last year. I would hope that Daniel is a lot more competitive. I mean, he didn't he didn't set testing on fire or anything like that. I mean, he had a few good laps here and there, but I mean, he wasn't he wasn't up at the top of the fastest times. Ferrari was quick in testing, but Ferrari's always quick in testing. You're never sure exactly how legit their runs are and how much of it is done to sort of appease the Italian media and get them off their back, fill people with some false hope. So we'll know for sure. We'll have a better idea on the weekend. Hopefully Oscar Piastri does well. You would imagine that if Oscar does very, very well, that it's already impossible to get tickets for Albert Park. It'll be absolutely insane if Oscar,
I think they're releasing more tomorrow. They're releasing more. Yeah,
tomorrow. A few more GA tickets. I think they announced.
Is Lewis going to tank this year?
Yes.
Got one, yes?
Yeah, no, he won't. Lewis's motivation is Lewis will do a lot of whinging this year, and there'll be a lot of conspiracy theories because I'm not being given the same car. If George continues to outpace him and have Vettel be like, I'm not getting the same car, I'm being punished because I'm leaving at the end of the year. Look, I'm a big Lewis Hamilton fan. I mean, there's a lot of rubbish talked about, and a lot of it, unfortunately, does come down to the colour of his skin, and would people like to say it or not, you see it in some of the comments on social media, reading between the lines that but he's you don't win that many world championships if you don't have incredible talent, and everyone makes excuses. Oh, but they gave him special deals, they gave him all sorts of conspiracy theories, which is absolute rubbish.
They started to acquiesce to George later last season more than they did to Lewis,
which I think was part of the reason that Lewis has jumped. I mean, he sees the writing on the wall that he's getting older. The new kid's coming through. The new kid's very fast. He's probably going, no, I'd better jump now, because if he'd have hung around for another year, his value might have would not have been as much there. I mean, if he has a bad year this year, and he got to the end of this year and renegotiated to try and go, perhaps even Ferrari might have gone, actually. Perhaps
it's part of the look, though. I wonder what Ferrari.
I wonder how much Liam Lawson's worth.
Well, I wonder what's going to happen with Lewis and his fashion apparel that he has seems to be able to do what he wants whenever he wants and wears what he wants. He doesn't even wear the Mercedes gear at all times. He could be wearing just. He could be, you look at home and a bloody Silver Circus down the road here. Some days it's got nothing to do with any. He's got no sponsorship on him whatsoever, and he just wanders around, does what he wants. I wonder if Ferrari have put in the contract and they'll make him wear a polo shirt just like Charles does, and do this and do that, and see how all that pans out. Otherwise,
well, I think part of
sour grapes and then
I think for a company like Ferrari, based in Milan, which is the fashion capital of the world, I think that will be a big attraction for the marketing people there to see Lewis and some of his fashions. Which incidentally, I mean, I know people go like, oh yeah, they're crazy. I've seen a lot of them and gone, geez, I wish I could wear something like, because they're very different. He pulls it off in a lot of cases. I think he's had some really good stuff. But anyway, in terms of what Nackers is saying. Well, he does at the track, but on his way to the track, when he arrives at the track, he's usually in the civvies, and then when he gets to the track, he gets into the team uniform. But I mean, he makes his statement, he sells his brand or whatever it is by coming in and sort of when he's not on the clock, he wears what he wants to wear or whatever he's being paid to wear. And then makes a statement there. But the interesting thing is, as Nackers are saying, will Ferrari let Lewis be Lewis? Lewis has come out this week in an interview with the Sporting Network. Lewis has come out and said that he has already, quote, told Ferrari that basically he's going to continue his work in terms of encouraging diversity, in terms of social justice and those sorts of things. And he's saying that Ferrari have told him they're 100% behind him. That he's basically. I mean, how long that continues might be interesting, depending on if it conflicts with one of Ferrari's major sponsors at some stage. That might be a problem, but then that's the same with Mercedes. But apparently Ferrari have said, no, I think one of the quotes was, we have got Lewis for being Lewis, and we don't want to change that, and we're right behind in terms of a lot of the diversity stuff he's doing, which Ferrari are doing themselves as well with the Ferrari Academy, because as Doc knows, up at Bathurst for the 12-hour, met a young girl from Queensland who was a part of the Ferrari Academy last year, some for the karting in the karting area, and she did very well. She went over and did some Formula 4 testing over in Europe as part of that academy, and they're very, very keen. They've already said that they are very, very keen to try and find a potential young woman that they can bring through and get into Formula 1, fast track into Formula 1. The problem is at the moment nobody has really jumped out and sort of put up their hands, and probably the best candidates at this stage are probably running around in the WRC, and we'll see them at Qatar on the weekend. Let's go quickly to that Mark. Interesting.
One more thing without flogging the dead horse with the Lewis thing. Don't forget. Just remind me, how much does Toto Wolff own? As not just being team principal, he also 35% he owns the F1 team. He's obviously. Well, yeah, 35. So that could be different with Ferrari. With Ferrari, when you got Lewis and you got your team principal, your boss, which is at Franz Tost or whatever it is, also I can't remember what it is at the moment. He doesn't own the team, so he takes orders from above. So it might be a different sort of a structure.
That's always been at Ferrari. Yep. The team principal takes orders from above. That's the problem.
Yep. There you go. All right, off to WEC. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, just quickly, it is coming up this weekend. It's something like, what is it? It's the 1827. What is it?
The 1812 kilometre.
1812 kilometre, yes, which has something to do with the founding of Qatar or something. That was the year that they were created or something. But that's what they're celebrating, and the prologue on the weekend. And the encouraging thing was we finally saw some pace coming out of the IMSA LMDH cars.
Indeed.
They did very well. And if you have a look at the times, This is
top
this
three.
is going, this is going to be this has the potential to be a very, very interesting season.
Well, yeah, the advantage that Toyota had by being experienced in hypercar over the last few years has run out. Now we've got the Porsches are actually right on top at the moment. Frederick Makwecki, I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Makoviecki. There we are. Thank you, Brett. Alex Lynn in the Cadillac, Callum Ilott in the Jota Porsche 963. They were the three fastest drivers over the course of the 2 days of testing. With Ferrari drivers next of Antonio Fuoco was the fastest of the Ferrari drivers. The second fastest was the semi-privateer, the car that AF Course is running themselves rather than the Ferrari funded car. Yeah,
in inverted commas.
Yeah,
Ferrari.
I mean, yeah, but
Quick question,
was
the
bit
Bizarro
fastest
World
and-
Ferrari.
Quick
Everything is sort of
question,
backwards
Dave.
on it.
How's the GR Gazoo Racing Toyota Hilux going? What's its times like? This new sport version.
You got to go a long way down the field to find the GR10. Nick De Vries was the 23rd
the Hilux,
driver.
the Hilux version, the Hilux Sports version. Is that racing this weekend? No. Oh, that's all right. That's only Australia. Sorry.
On kind of on that subject, a shout out to Holly Spray. You had a not great weekend, and I really feel for you. The top 10 are all Porsches, Cadillacs, and Ferraris, actually, with Jenson Button seventh fastest on his return and just half a second off the best time of Makoviecki. So, Lawrence Van Tor was in the top 10, so was El Bamba, so was James Collado. The Peugeot was actually 11th fastest, so it looks like the adjusted aerodynamics on the Peugeot 9X8 appears to have cured their.
Well, actually, they're running the older version. We're not going to see the wings. We're not going to see the wings until the round before Le Mans. I think basically because they want to sort of keep things, under wraps at the moment. I don't think they want to sort of show their hand too early before Le Mans because that's all they're interested in. And someone said, do you think Peugeot's going to? I think Peugeot's going to do what Peugeot has done before. Peugeot wants to win Le Mans. That's all they're interested in. They couldn't give a stuff about the World Championship. The only reason they're running that is because they've got to. They want to run, and I think they'll give it another go this year. If they don't get if they don't win it or get really bloody close to winning it, I think they'll pretty soon pull the pin on it. Unfortunately, but then we've still got we've still got Lamborghini to come. We've got Albina, and there's still lots and lots of rumours going around that at Le Mans that there's going to be at least two other manufacturers may well join.
I suppose Aston Martin would be one of
Martin,
those.
They're on the way, with the Valkyrie,
and presumably the Honda / Acura.
That's going to be the one. That's the one that they're assuming will be announced at Le Mans. Is that that Honda will sort of make the announcement that we've sat out of it, we've had a look around, and yes, we're going to join the party. We're going to join the party next year, and then that's sort of got to the point where if Toyota and Honda are involved, some people are saying, well, how long will it be before Nissan go? If they're there, if Honda are there, if Toyota are there, we've almost got to go back.
Nissan's a bit of a hard one because the company is already represented in the field via Alpine, of course, being Nissan part of the larger Renault group.
But I'm sure they could use. The basis of that in terms of doing it on the cheap. They could easily use that as obviously as the basis of an official Nissan entry, and perhaps just subtle. That's the advantage of that LMDH formula is that you essentially, if you've got a mass-produced tub and suspension, all the rest of it, and you pretty much hang whatever bodywork you like on it within the rules and regulations to sort of personalise it, and then say, yes, that's Nissan, that's an Alpine, that's a Porsche, that's no, it's an Orica, or it's whatever, but it's a Dallara or whatever the chassis
Multimatic.
Multimatic, yeah. So there's
just touching on your practice times, Mark. It was quite good for some of those teams to actually get some of the cars out there. I was just reading some background stuff on it. Same old thing right around the world, including one of the teams, obviously Hub Auto didn't make it down to the B12 hour. All their freight was late, wasn't it, at the start of the week, Mark? You probably noticed that too. So good effort by a lot of the teams to get all their gear out.
They actually delayed. Unfortunately, they delayed the prologue by over the. It was supposed to happen over the weekend, but they delayed it to Monday and Tuesday because not everything had arrived in time. And at the moment, that's that whole sort of pirate thing, and is really is really messing things up. Is really messing things up anyway. Everywhere. Just very quickly before we head off, I had a look at. I certainly watched. I saw the Super Pole race and the end of and most of race 1 on the weekend. It's almost become a bit of the World Superbikes at Phillip Island, almost a bit of a secret. I'd forgotten it was even happening until I saw until I saw a press release come through. I was without, as Roy would know, is watching now, virtual Argo. Roy, and thanks for fixing up. It's fine now, thank you. I was without email for a couple of days, and I did see a press release from Ducati, and I went, "Oh, that's right, that's on this weekend." Seemed to be still a pretty good crowd there. Not the crowds that they used to have, but still a really good crowd. It was always a great weekend. The Doc, did you see any of the Superbikes?
No, I went for 10 years straight. Didn't miss a year a while back, we've obviously been distracted by other things that are going on all the time, and there's so much motorsport on, but. It's a really down to earth event from going from year after year and doing a little bit behind the scenes from time to time. And I think the reason it doesn't get it gets lost in the exposure of the world a little bit is because there's not only just so much on. It doesn't have a huge amount of Australian riders in the top tier class like it used to. Like there was always a lot of interest when Baylor was racing or Corsa was racing or. There was a little bit of sad news over the few weeks ago as well. We lost the Go Show as well though too. Unfortunately, his demons caught up with him from at a young age. So that was sad news, and I'm sure there would have been a few down there that would have paid tribute to him down there in one way, shape, or form. I had maybe a sticker on a bike or a little memoriam somewhere about it.
As I was saying at the time, I mean, like in terms of our relationships with Anthony, I mean, a couple of times he came on the show, and a couple of times we caught up with him at the track. He was always very straight up and down, and was really nice. Was always really friendly and very nice with us. Very very professional and just a nice guy. So that was very very sad. But it was interesting. Alex Lowe was leaving Kawasaki, leaving on top of the championship. Run at the moment. Johnny Ray had a big crash on Sunday. Multiple champion. Another nice guy. Most of the guys in Superbikes are top. But whether it's World Superbikes or Australian or Victorian championships, they're all.
There's no room for egos down there. In the Superbikes tiers, all those tiers, there's no room for egos. You certainly because you're on pretty much the factory machinery with little modifications for the people that aren't educated in it, and they have a lot of fun. So you're going toe to toe with a guy that's got no more than you have. It's all just based on skill. So always fantastic to see the World Superbikes here. It's just so much racing on, so much to keep up with it at the moment.
Just quickly, because we've got to move on this end and head off because we've been over an hour already. But yes, we'll just go there just as Dogfish is saying from over in New Zealand. Yeah, a tragedy on the weekend in a rally over there. A couple of couple of drivers, driver and the navigator passed away. So that was very sad over the weekend. I mean, these things happen, but obviously someone who's yet another young Kiwi talent. Who knows what could have happened, but there's Mark has got. Paul saying, okay. Mark makes a tribute to the Go Show with some of his old bikes.
It did happen.
There's some details over there. So yes, to everybody, he was very popular. I know the Victorian Road Racing Championship. Anybody involved in the Victorian Road Racing Championship, we've covered them. We covered them a bit on the program. If we can do more of that this year, we'd certainly like to. They're a terrific bunch of people to deal with. There's not a huge number of rounds. I think their first round is actually coming up. I think they're starting the year off over at the Bend, and it might even be this weekend. So so I think that that's a really good category. Very professional. Whenever anytime I've been really blown away by the level of professionalism of the Victorian Road Racing Championships. They do a fantastic job. They've got the merch out there. They've got lots of big fields in pretty much all of the categories. Great racing, very professional and very friendly. So if you get the opportunity to check out the Victorian Road Racing Championships, also South Australia as well, they've got a good one.
Queensland kicks off. Queensland Road Racing Championship kicks off this weekend as well at Queensland Raceway.
Oh, okay. So what's the scene like up there? Are they getting good numbers?
I'm not across it as much as I would like. My mobility issues means I don't get to go to as many race meetings as I would like to. So I'm not across as to how strong the Queensland bike scene is.
And Richard, give us a plug for Phillip Island.
Doc, the weather's not going to be too bad. It's not going to be scorching hot. My blue car's back on the track. I put her on the track last weekend, and it was a dog. It was so bad.
You took it in the Coles car park.
Yeah. I've got the old Dunga white car there with more bits on it than a Filipino taxi. And
so you're trying some air rates like an F1.
Yeah, well, it was a damn size quicker. So hopefully the crazy work I did all through the week at least makes some improvements on the car. Otherwise, I'm going to get the old Dunga car out and put all the bits back on it.
So what's going on, Phillip? What time down there?
I don't know yet. Haven't it's just Saturday and Sunday. Haven't got any. Haven't got a program yet.
I'm not sure what's running. Not sure what's running with them. I mean, normally the
Supercars. I think XLs are on their own.
Yeah, I think so, because the Supercars ran only a couple of weeks ago, and they've got a big meeting coming up at the Bend fairly soon as well. So so they're over at the Bend for a national series. Just quickly, Rob Roy coming up at the Rob Roy Revival. This is something the MG Car Club have been really pushing in terms of trying to make sort of a local version of the Goodwood Revival. As I said, I'm not really sure. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the British crowds will frock up at the drop of a hat. I mean, they just love that. Whether it's the second day of the Saturday of a test match, or that at the rugby, or at Goodwood, or anywhere at all, if they've got an excuse, or certainly Le Mans. I mean, I've got hundreds and hundreds of photos of British fans at Le Mans that Melissa took in all manner of bizarre, as nuns and as policemen and clowns and God knows.
Well, Wimbledon's on. They've got to get their Wimbledon clothes out.
Wimbledon. They love. So I don't know whether that's going to work in Australia. I know the VHRR sort of tried to do it a bit with Phillip Island as well, which I think the only person I ever saw who made the effort to do that was Mark Fogarty, and he looked a complete brat doing it. So I think that I don't think that's. I'm not sure whether it's going to work, but they're going to have fashion parades. They're going to have There's music, there's live music, there's jazz playing around the place. They're also going to have a big, so you can see the whole of the track. They're also going to put up a big screen at Rob Roy, because obviously one of the problems is you can't see sort of, you see them leave, but they sort of go off into the bush and you don't see the second half of the run. It's a very, very short track, so you're not missing a huge amount, but you will be able to see that, hopefully. And I say hopefully because, Doc and I and Jason and a few of the in-pit lane crew are going along there and helping them out to try and make that work. So we'll be there. We'll be there over the weekend. I'll be filming some stuff. I think Roy is going out as well to get.
So we should pack our soldering iron in.
Yeah, I think sort of. I think I will be. I think I will be taking the magic bag out. Just to get, but no, they've got some professionals in to sort of put it together. It was just they're setting up all the equipment, so all the gear in theory should work. They just need somebody to turn it into a television show and push the buttons hopefully in the right order. So we will do that certainly on Sunday, and we might even if we can get out on Saturday as well, because it'll be interesting to see how they do it. They're going to do it They're doing it very much on a very much on a budget, a bit like the way we covered the way we used to cover the drags at Calder Park. So we've got a bit of experience with that sort of.
Oh, that's right. I used to use MS.84 when I was at Calder.
Yes, very much so. That's not joking.
I am not kidding. I used to use MS.84 at Calder when we were doing the commentating. That is not a joke. And that was only 2019, I think. There.
Yep. No, it's still that was still time. Okay, everybody. Hey, listen, thank you for joining. Now, please remember, In Pit Lane returns this coming Thursday night. Not tomorrow, but next Thursday. In Pit Lane to the new later time of 9:30. Tell all your friends out there that it's happening. Also, please like and subscribe to those people like Mark and a few others and people who support us on Patreon. Thank you very much for that. It really came in handy at the start of the week. I was looking at oh my God, where's the money coming from for these bloody pizzas? And then suddenly I got Patreon has paid you $67. Like, yes. So thank you for that. Unfortunately, our pizza budget has just doubled, not because we've got a whole bunch of people, but the place that Doc and I used to call through on the way through to pick up the pizzas is now closed. And it looks like the only way we're going to be able to feed the crew is to get deliveries, and that's going to add about sort of $50 to $60 a week, possibly to the. I haven't priced it yet, but it's certainly going to add considerably to the cost of doing that, unless we can figure out.
If I'm ever running late, I could probably drive past it and running late and pick him up and yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll have to work. We'll have to work that out. I think it's going to be a thing that the pizzas are going to have to come in much later. And the only thing, the quickest way of doing it, I think, is we did it coming back. We basically jumped on a train, which was hilarious because from originally having no one to pick up the pizzas, we ended up with Elle, with Lars, with Jason, Vanessa, and me. All of us carrying pizzas. Well, thankfully, I didn't need to carry any pizzas because the guys turned up. But Jason said, "Let's jump on a tram," and sort of a whole bunch of people suddenly wandered in on a tram. 5 people carrying a shitload of pizzas, stuck the tram out with pizzas, but that seemed to be the most efficient way because it was I thought it was walking distance, but it was a long walking distance.
Well, you could have the pizzas would be half eaten by the time you got to the
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate it. Yeah, you can tell you're in New Zealand because $5 won't even buy half a beer. But thank you.
And in New Zealand, beer's bloody cheap over there. Beer, that's almost a slab over in New Zealand. Anyway,
I couldn't believe because they just put up the prices again. I went into BWS and I thought, I might grab something to drink with lunch, and I went to get the regular can, $10. $10 in BW for a Bundy and Coke. Unbelievable! Everything had gone up because they put it up again because of the budget, because of the inflation. ridiculous. But
Okay, guys.
All righty.
okay, everyone, we'll see you. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you on In Pit Lane Thursday night. Tune in on the Facebook page on Tuesday night. We'll probably do a live behind the scenes again as well. We'll see how that goes. That's that. Now there you go. Hit Brad Jones. I think Brad Jones needs everything that he gets from Pizza Hut, including the free pizzas. Okay, everyone, we'll see you. We'll see you later. We'll see you next week. Thanks everyone for joining us. Good night, everyone.